Oh, alien ship on approach. Very Independence Day. At least they noticed they were coming, unlike the volcano, which nobody noticed was there, right? And then Jon Stewart, my personal favorite Green Lantern. And then he's dead. No. The second I saw that, I was like, yeah, okay, no. It's a dream or a simulation or a TV. It's fake. It's fake. And so at that point, it became a question of what was going on, not, oh my God. I wonder if that was deliberate. I have another thought I'll share about that further on, but I'm curious what you guys thought. Like, I mean, right? Also, interesting point, and this is something they even call out later. The team has no reaction to their deaths. It's like, oh, yeah, they're dead. Okay, whatever. And then the league just gets kind of owned. One shot each. What is this, Imperiex? No, seriously, was this inspired by Imperiex? Actually, there's a scene later on where they're holed up, and the army guys are there, and they're shooting, and the aliens are coming. And I was like, that looks almost exactly like a few panels from the Imperiex story. Why are the fake outs in this episode? Is it for the audience? Is it to set the tone? Whatever. I like their Arctic gear, even though they only showed it for a few scenes, and let's be honest, it was probably only so they could sell some toys. But I know, they need that toy money to justify having an actual work of art in reality, because we can't have anything without money, God forbid. Rant. So then, the aliens... One of the things I could buy is the aliens being a one-trick pony. Actually, very rarely fiction will present an enemy which is a one-trick pony, which still makes them very dangerous, but kind of shows how the moment you get around that danger, you can outmaneuver them. Actually, probably one of my favorite examples of that's actually from Star Trek Voyager, of all things, with the Krenim and their torpedoes that can phase through your shields. Like, that's a huge advantage, but the moment you nullify that advantage, well, they suddenly don't know what to do, right? So in this case, the theoretical advantage is the death rays, the disintegration beams. Okay, that makes a degree of sense. I find myself curious, though, like, why didn't anyone else... I mean, I know, it's fake. It's just, you'd think they could work around that, and that's exactly what they do when the team finally goes after them, so sure. Oh, and then Wolf dies, nobody reacts, and then Artemis dies. And then people start reacting. Yeah, I know. Having seen the whole episode, this makes sense now. But I was paying attention to their reactions the whole time, ever since they didn't react to the League, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is fake. And then they just start freaking out over Artemis's death. That threw me for a loop. I'll go ahead and admit that. I think this was put in to try and do the double fake out. Any audience member who's worth their salt is watching this thinking this is fake, until we see the team's reaction to that going bad, and... to the team, to Artemis dying and blah, blah, blah. And as an aside, I have to say, I like Wally reacting to Artemis's death as hard as he does. That's a weird thing to comment on, but Artemis and Wally have been kind of circling each other for a while now. Kind of like how Megan and Superboy, that is to say Connor, circle each other for a while. Thing is, I still haven't seen much to show me that the Megan-Connor thing was a good idea. They don't really seem to have a lot of natural chemistry, and they haven't done anything with that relationship yet. By contrast, Wally and Artemis actually have pretty decent dynamic together. Good chemistry, as I like to call it. And we'll see where that goes going forward. Hopefully they can stick the landing. So they talk about, oh my god, no, they're not disintegrated at all. They've been teleported away. It all makes sense. It's so logical. There's Zeta tubes. There's got to be Zeta tubes. And I like how the soldier tells the heroes to go through, by the way. You are assets we cannot afford to lose. Which brings me to Robin. One of the things I like about Robin is he is incredibly pragmatic. He's not bad. He is, in fact, a bit of an idealist, but he is harshly aware of reality. There's this great bit, it's actually probably my favorite part of this particular episode, where they're in the alien core, and he pulls out all these massive high-power explosives, high-yield explosives, and Wally looks at him like, you knew. You knew from the beginning. Robin doesn't even respond. Why would he? Of course he knew. He's literally been trained, since he was 9, to be the guy to anticipate and to prepare. He's also a very good leader in most of this mission. In fact, there's this great bit where she says, no, don't send Connor. He's sending you as a sacrifice. That's not what Kaldura would do. And he says, no, you're right. That's not what Kaldura would do. Kaldura would sacrifice himself, depriving the team of its leader. And from a pragmatic, harsh military perspective, that is the wrong call. Robin's right. Now, I could talk at length about the concept of self-sacrifice versus sacrificing another, and the substantial significance and gulf in between those things. But let's just say that it is a leader's job, a truly good leader's job, to know when they need to kill their own people for the sake of the mission or the goal or the rest of their people. Not themselves, not to be self-sacrificing. That's what Archer did in Season 3 of Enterprise. And I don't want to get all off on that topic. It's a huge topic. And I don't even mean any insult to Archer. It was actually a very well-written scene, very well-acted series of events. But, point remaining. It's also interesting to me because there's a great value in having the idealist and the pragmatist on the same team. Just food for thought for the future. So then they have the "we will never surrender" scene, and they bring in like every secondary character from like every episode up till now, which is good continuity. I like that. But what I find more amusing about that is I think that scene was purely there to try and convince the viewer, no, this is really happening. And I'm just sitting here like, no. No, I didn't buy it from the Artemis dying, okay, sure, maybe. But I'm not willing to buy that they killed off the League so effortlessly and casually, especially with no reaction, as I mentioned before. So, I'm skipping forward to I've already mentioned some of these things. You know, Wally rigged out about Artemis, both of them willing to sacrifice themselves, and then it was a holodeck, kind of. One of the things I first thought was, oh, it's a holodeck episode. But then I caught myself. I was like, well, no, the Danger Room is the other thing. That's Marvel. And I don't think there is a holodeck thing in DC. I mean, you'd think there would be. They got the tech for it, right? But I don't remember there being a holodeck kind of a thing. So, but no, it was a telepathic holodeck. Yay! It was even a Kobayashi Maru, specifically designed to test them in failure, a cascading failure scenario. In short, the point of the training was to make them adapt and think on the fly, sure, but also to analyze themselves and get used to losing, to be completely honest. As I myself have said many times, the first time I starting to get slightly, barely passably better at strategy games was when I started being willing to accept a loss. And there you are. So Lou, yeah, apparently she is super powerful, untrained. Somehow that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it had to be her or Superboy, right? I mean, you kind of figured, oh, no, they're really, really powerful. They just don't know what to do with it, right? I mean, I've already talked about how I like the idea of skill and technique in this show, or in this concept. What I'm very curious about is if they're going to stick the landing on this having consequence. If this matters going forward, I'll forgive this episode, because otherwise, this feels like just a little bit of fluff. Either way, see you next time.